Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, our guest today is Secretary of State John Merrill. Also, the V-Team takes a look at Bentley's tax plan. And guess where Speaker Hubbard will be during the 2016 legislative session? Here's a hint.
I know to you I may look old. Hope this statement ain't too bold, but here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge.
All this and much, much more coming up next on The V.
The Voice of Alabama Politics. With your host, Bill Britt. And the V-Team with Claire Austin, Susan Britt, Jack Campbell, Baron Coleman, Charlana Spencer, and special reports with Jonathan Barbie. Now, the #1 political show in Alabama, The V.
Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the V-Team. Welcome all.
Good morning.
Hello.
This past week, Governor Robert Bentley endorsed Ohio Governor John Kasich for the GOP nomination for president. It's August. Why in the world, Jack, would the governor be coming out and endorsing Kasich this early?
Quid pro quo, Clarice. I don't know. Unless he's going to get something out of it, cabinet position or something.
But a lot of people have already started up with lining up with people. I mean, there's so many of these presidential candidates that have already come through Alabama already.
Kasich is a little obscure, though. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, wait a minute. Maybe I should back up. I guess I spent 12 years in D.C. He was a former congressman. He did budgets. He's been a governor. He's from a key state, Ohio. Whether he gets the nomination, I think that Kasich will be a player or a potential VP.
Well, I do too, and I think that probably is a good thing.
And I think it's smart on Bentley's part.
You think the governor's aiming for a cabinet post here, Barron?
I think Governor Bentley just endorsed somebody who's running for a cabinet position. At the highest he can hope to get out of this is a vice presidential slot. I think in all likelihood he's running for treasurer or something else, just to get his name out there so people remember who he is, collect a little bit of fan support, be willing later to throw his support behind the eventual nominee. I'm mystified, frankly, why in the dead of August, when nobody's watching the news, Governor Bentley would waste his political capital on the governor of Ohio, who's polling about 3%.
His quote borders on insanity, though. He says, John Kasich's success in getting conservative ideas to work in Ohio, cutting taxes, $5 billion, turning an $8 billion shortfall into a $2 billion surplus. Now, here's a guy that he says almost says is his role model for cutting taxes. What's Bentley want to do? Raise taxes.
Raising taxes.
Okay, but the bottom line, I think John Kasich, former congressman, governor, is a good, solid man. He knows how to balance a budget. He knows how to run Congress. He knows how to run a big state like Ohio. It's a swing state. I think he's going to be a player.
And he tried to raise taxes, and he expanded Obamacare under Medicaid.
He's pro-Common Core. He expanded Medicaid. He arguably has raised taxes, not cut taxes. He has turned in a surplus out of a tough financial situation and added some jobs. But it's August, and John Kasich isn't polling anywhere near the kind of support you need to get endorsements from governors.
Having known Bentley like I think I do, philosophically, he's not even close to John Kasich. And he endorsed Huckabee, years ago.
That's because Huckabee and his children ran the governor's campaign the first time for governor.
Yeah.
So that was a little surprising to me that he didn't go back with Huckabee. But I think that, and I like Governor Huckabee, but I think his numbers are even less, and he's not from a swing state, and he's been on the hot box or been on the TV like we have been, and so that kind of lowers his
if
ability.
Governor Bentley is looking to be Surgeon General one day, he might want to get on board with somebody who can actually win.
Yeah.
I like Kasich. He's a decent guy, but I don't see where he has a chance of winning at this point. But hey,
he might be looking at who else in Alabama's lined up with who else.
Yeah, that
You
could
know,
be
there
it.
could be that going on as well.
And
It's called politics.
It is, and that's why we were kind of wondering what the heck's going on behind the scene, but we hadn't found out yet. But
Shall I share later?
Yes, you should. You know, Kasich and a lot of these what I call country club Republicans have supported Common Core. A new study out of the Kennedy Center at Harvard shows that teachers are backing away from Common Core en masse, Barron. I mean, it is not popular after 2 years.
It's a disaster. It is an absolute disaster. The same business community that's bringing you unlimited illegal immigration is pushing Common Core, and it's the exact same reason. It's money. It's cash. It's good for them. And you know what? I think when you see the ascendance of Donald Trump, you see some of the frustrations from the rank and file Republicans out there. People are tired of not being listened to. Governor Bentley, by endorsing John Kasich, the Chambers of Commerce, by promoting Common Core and shoving it down the throats of people who just don't want it, people are getting frustrated. Even now, teachers who presumably were on board with Common Core, high standards, they're losing them because it doesn't work. It's an unmitigated disaster. And I'm you know, people are just absolutely sick and tired of this being shoved down our throats.
Well, that's the way it is in Alabama. I mean, the BCA is the one that pushes this Common Core. It's a little bit in the military community, but it's the Chamber of Commerce that's really driving that train. I mean, Jack, it doesn't poll well out with the people of Alabama.
No, it doesn't at all. It doesn't at all. And I mean, I agree with you about Trump. I mean, he's tapped into something. I mean, look at Mobile. The crowds, they had to go to a bigger venue because so many people wanted to see him. That's unprecedented this early in the presidential campaign.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, I'm one of those that goes out there and talks with the common folks, you know, the people that come and work on your refrigerators, or they pump gas, or they're your plumbers or your AC. And I have unfortunately had a lot of those people at my house over the last 2 weeks. And I've
To
asked
work?
Yeah, to work, to fix everything's
throwing cocktail parties.
Well, you never know with Claire.
No, because everything's broken. And I have asked every person that has come in my door who they were supporting for president. And over every one of them that are contractors, AC, plumbers, painters, whatever, every one of them are supporting Donald Trump. And then you take Jeff Sessions, who comes in, talks about the immigration, which is a huge issue, and for Trump's personality to listen to that. And people in the state of Alabama respect Jeff Sessions as well as they do all throughout the entire country. So, I mean, you know, he's leading in the polls. We got a long time to go between now and then, but that's kind of where we are now.
Well, I saw pictures of his third wife, and she would make a stunning first lady. She might need to buy some clothes.
Well, she might buy some from me. That's exactly
She
right.
need to buy a few clothes, because everything I saw in her looked like, you know, they didn't get all the thread together.
Don't be talking about people's personal life. That's a little dangerous.
I'm just saying, she'd make a stunning first lady.
She would be an upgrade from the last 4 or 5.
The last one.
Governor Bentley has been out this week talking to everybody who'll listen. He says he's got the House on his side when it comes to raising taxes. Claire, you hearing he's got the House on his side?
The House or the Speaker?
The Speaker, but he keeps saying the House.
Well, because he thinks the Speaker controls the House still?
Yeah.
And that'll be interesting to see that all these freshman Republican are going to support raising taxes. I'd be shocked if they do. If they do, they will be defeated, don't you think, Barron, in 3.5 years?
Barron, we got about 20 seconds. What do you think?
The people who were not going to raise taxes last time have not had a road to Damascus tax raising experience. They're not going to raise taxes.
And the Democrats are not going to raise taxes.
Yeah, Democrats aren't on board. They're not going to be used like rented mules this time.
Right.
All right. We'll leave it right there. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back with Secretary of State John Merrill.
The V is sponsored by Spot On Strategies Group.
There are places and moments in America where this nation's destiny has been decided.
At the end of a long campaign, I believe I know our people of this state as well as anyone could.
I've seen good works of thousands of Texans. I have seen how optimism can grow in tough places. And I admire the spirit of independence and enterprise matched with a spirit of compassion and common effort.
They tell me that Jimmy Carter the other day stopped his motorcade on an impulse and went over into a field and told a farmer he'd like to help him. Took the milking stool and the bucket and sat down to milk the cow. Looked up at him and while he was milking and he said, "I'll bet you Hubert Humphrey wouldn't do this to get your vote." And the farmer says, "You can ask him, he's on the other side of the cow milk."
Based on this knowledge of Georgia, north and south, rural and urban, liberal and conservative.
In Texas, I have seen how diversity makes us stronger.
I love this place. If it hadn't been for me coming here to Fayetteville more than 4 decades ago, I never would have become governor. I never would have become president. Nothing else would have happened.
Hello, Alabama. It's good to be here.
Welcome back to The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We're joined today by Secretary of State John Merrill. Mr. Secretary, welcome.
Hey, Bill, it's great to be with you as always.
It's great to have you on the show, one of our favorite guests. You've got a lot of things going on right now, not the least of which is a lot of presidential hopefuls. Republicans are coming to Alabama. We've been following this, but nobody closer than you have.
Well, Bill, it's unprecedented. And the reason that it's occurring is because of our involvement in the SEC primary, which is scheduled for Tuesday, March the 1st, 2016. Right after I received the nomination to become the Republican nominee for Secretary of State, Georgia Secretary of State Brian Kemp contacted me and expressed to me his interest in coordinating an event that would culminate in the SEC primary. And I was really intrigued by what he shared, but I really knew it was something that we needed to look into when I went to a new Secretary of State orientation in Santa Monica, California back in December. It was paid for by the Pew Charitable Trust, and they invited 6 new secretaries and invited 4 senior secretaries to come and to help us in the orientation time. And one of the secretaries I met was a gentleman from Iowa, and he expressed to me that unless an Iowan meets a presidential candidate at least 8 times, they're not going to vote for him. He said they need to sit down and have a personal exchange for 8 different periods. And I said, 8 times? I said, do you know how few people in our state have ever had the privilege to see a candidate for president 1 time, let alone 8 times? I said, you know, I know you got some good people, and there's good people in New Hampshire and in South Carolina, but there's nobody any better than the people in Lee County, Tuscaloosa County, Jefferson County, Coosa County, Cleveland County, Randolph County, you name Lauderdale County, Franklin County, any county in the state. None of their people are better than ours. And our people need a chance to meet these candidates and to evaluate them themselves and to make an informed decision on who they're going to support for the presidency.
So this is actually happening now. I mean, who all have we had come so far?
Well, we've been so fortunate. We've had a number of candidates, including Governor Jindal, including Governor Walker, including Governor Bush, Governor Huckabee. But let's just talk about this past week and the week that's coming up. Okay. On Monday of last week, Governor Kasich was in Birmingham. On Friday night, Donald Trump was in Mobile for a big bash. Yesterday, Governor Walker was in Talladega County at the state GOP meeting. Tuesday, Ben Carson is going to be in Montgomery. Ted Cruz is going to be back in the state in Tuscaloosa. And on Wednesday morning, Governor Bush is going to be in Birmingham again.
That's unprecedented in our state. You brought a clip for us to look at about the SEC primary.
I did.
Let's take a look at that.
Yes, sir.
I am honored to stand with each and every one of you.
Thank you. God bless you. God bless the United States.
We have come to take our country back.
That's an exciting roster of candidates. I mean, it does give you the feel of an SEC championship game coming to town.
There's no doubt about it. And I had the privilege to present this video to the Secretaries of State at our summer meeting in Portland, Maine, and they were blown away. This video was produced by one of the most outstanding young up-and-coming communications companies in our state. 2 young people from Fort Payne in the Rainsville community, actually in DeKalb County, and they did a tremendous job on this in helping us promote what we're trying to do and encourage candidates to see the enthusiasm that our people have for their visits.
Do you expect to see a lot of candidates coming back to Alabama?
Oh, we do, and the fact that we've already had 12 of the 17 candidates that are running for the Republican nomination, we want to get some of the Democrat candidates here, Bill, because we want our Democrat friends throughout the state to be able to have an opportunity to meet these candidates as well. And we've extended an open invitation. Our office is willing, interested, and able to provide the support necessary to enable these candidates to have the network they need to reach the people of Alabama.
I know you've done a lot of things in your office to beef up voter registration, make it easier, even though we have some changes. Can you give us some ideas of some of the things that you're working on that will prepare people for voting?
Certainly. The main thing that we did, Bill, was we contacted each legislator, all 140, and we asked the 105 House members and 35 senators to give us 3 locations in their district where they would like us to go to have an opportunity for voter registration and photo ID cards to be made. They provided us with those different locations, but we also contacted each one of the 67 probate judges and asked them for specific locations in their county where they wanted us to go. We made a commitment that we were going to go to every county in the state by the end of October of this year and have a voter registration drive and a photo identification drive in every county. And some counties we visited multiple times because of the encouragement we've received from the legislative delegation and the probate judges. But we have continued to get more and more folks coming to receive their ID cards and more folks to register to vote.
Are you finding this to be the hindrance that some people had said it was going to be to getting people involved in the process?
Well, this is the thing. When you make it easy for people, they're going to be more inclined to want to participate. That's why we've held voter registration drives at a Walmart. That's why we've had voter registration drives at churches on a Sunday in between the services, because that's where people are. We want to make sure we're reaching people where they are. You don't expect somebody to go to a church for a voter registration drive on a Tuesday night from 5 to 7.
Right.
They have to make an effort to do that.
Yeah.
We're trying to make it easy on our people. We just want to make sure that all the people who are qualified to vote and eligible to vote have the opportunity to register and then encourage them to participate.
There's some other changes that you're making at the Secretary's office. Could you tell us just quickly about those?
One of the things, Bill, is to streamline business filings. We're trying to help our people who are trying to start new businesses or to expand existing businesses to be able to do it in a one-day shop. Because if they have a delay, then it delays the increase of new jobs in our state, which hurts our economy. We're in the business of helping our economy grow and to expand.
SEC primary is going to be very exciting. We're so glad to have you on the job.
Bill, thanks for having us here.
Thank you. We've been visiting with Secretary of State John Merrill. We'll be right back with the V-Team. Thank you for watching.
Sadly, this happens too often in families with autistic children.
First nightmare, their child wanders off, disappears, and is nowhere to be found.
Where her body was found just a couple hours ago.
An autistic boy wanders away from home and dies.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. Welcome, Susan.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Doing
and
good.
Girls, ladies.
Yes.
Susan, you were at the Mike Hubbard hearing this week when Judge Walker gave him an extension, a continuance on his trial. Give us a little overview of what you saw.
A lot of people are really freaked out about this, but there's nothing to freak out about it. Actually, Judge wanted to have it as soon as February, but they were only able to make it into March because the defense wanted it sometime midsummer next year, and he said, "Oh no, that's too long. So let's put it, back in March," and that's what they've agreed to.
This judge is being very, very cautious.
He is. I've heard it said that he is treating this like a capital murder case because he does not want it to be overturned on appeal. So he's being very, very careful. He's giving them a lot of leeway so that, the defense can't say, well, they didn't give us enough time, or they did this, or they wouldn't hear this, or that, or the other.
Well, he's playing his cards right.
He is.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing it.
He's very well respected, and I think he's doing the right thing.
I mean, Barron, you and I, we've all talked about it a lot. Walker is on a fine line. He does not want to get overturned. And so this is just one of the things that gets done, right?
It is. It's frustrating as someone who's represented criminal defendants that are not speakers of the House and multimillionaires. It's frustrating because it leads to the perception in the general public that there are two systems of justice, one for the rich and powerful, the other for everybody else. So as a lawyer who's done some criminal defense work, it's frustrating to watch Mike get everything he wants, Speaker Hubbard get everything he wants every step of the way. Deference at every turn, a hearing for every issue he wants to have a hearing on. But at the same time, I understand. He knows that there are 5 law firms on retainer representing Speaker Hubbard that'll be picking and nitpicking over every single thing. And if you give the man a hearing, how can he complain he didn't get a hearing? If you give the man extra time, how can he complain he didn't get enough time? So I understand what he's doing. It's a little frustrating from a legal perspective. It's a little frustrating from a man on the street perspective because you or I would not be given the same deference in a court of law, period, end of story. But I understand what he's doing. He's trying to get the right answer and make sure there are no holes for Mike Hubbard to escape from when it's over.
I mean, but people do think there's two sets of justice. They think there's justice for the rich and justice for the poor. But, I mean, Claire,
we've seen that. You go all the way back to the O.J. Simpson trial. That's another example, just like Mike Hubbard's. And so I think that the judge is he's doing the right thing to cover his bases because this is a very highly political case in the state of Alabama.
And if he gets overturned, he's got to live in the same town with Mike Hubbard, his legacy, his vengeance, and all of that.
Yeah, so, I mean, I get why he's doing it.
I get it. It's frustrating.
Well, one of the things that we thought, and the media absolutely got this wrong because they
I think the other thing, as you were sitting here talking, as you were talking, the legal bills are going to continue to grow and grow and grow.
Yeah.
The tension, the stress, the nerves, the wear and the tear on you, your wife, your family, all that's, you ask for all this time, but then that's all, you have to deal with all that emotionally and everything, and financially for another, an extra 4 months as well.
What did we estimate? There were probably $60,000 worth of lawyers in that room one day.
Just for that one hearing.
That adds up, doesn't it?
Yeah, pretty quick. One of the things I wanted to get to before I almost choked to death here on the set.
That's why I was trying to help you out.
I appreciate it. Was, they landed an evidentiary hearing for prosecutorial misconduct, and Mark White went out there and bloviated about what a great, day for victory it was for him. Wasn't that big a deal, was it?
Wasn't that big a deal. He did this to say, okay, I'm going to let you have your evidentiary hearing, but here's your very narrow window. The narrow window is whatever went on in that grand jury room on the day that witness was in that grand jury room. He's not going to let anything in from the Attorney General's office. Any of that stuff with Sonny Reagan. They tried and tried and tried, and he said, no, here's your window. It's narrow. Let's see what you got. But I'm probably going to rule against you anyway because I've never seen a case overturned on these terms.
This is hard to get, right?
Well, again, I wouldn't get this if I was on trial. You wouldn't get this if you were on trial. Mike Hubbard gets an evidentiary hearing on something he shouldn't get an evidentiary hearing on. This is what I was talking about with the frustration. However, you're going to give him the trial. The question is, did anything go wrong inside the grand jury room while the grand jury was seated?
Right.
If you can prove it, prove it. If not, we'll move on without you.
I mean, he didn't leave much of a door open there.
There again, if you look back over the last 12 months of this or 10 months, everything Mark White's tried to do is a stalling tactic, a PR gambit, just to delay justice for it, to deny and delay justice. And that's what he's done and he can continue to do. But, I think and I hope and pray that the judge will say March 2016, we're going to trial.
Well, he certainly.
He said March.
Yeah, I mean,
he was very adamant about it will be in March.
There's no more games. There's no more charades. There's no more media.
And the other thing,
circuses.
when the defense brought up that it was going to be during session, the judge said, "I don't care. I don't care."
Y'all think back 6 years ago. The whole gambling bingo thing, that went on the entire time of session.
Well, you should have seen Hubbard basically jumped out of his chair going, "That's during session, that's during session." The judge was like,
maybe he should step down and not be the speaker next year.
Well, if it goes the way they're saying, he's going to be gone 2/3 of the session.
yeah, because they're saying, they say it's going to take a month prep, and then Mark White says it's going to take a month for the trial. Barron, how does he stay speaker and still be at his trial?
Because there's no honest members of the legislature who have the integrity to ask him to step down. And that's the reality. If Mike Hubbard is the Speaker of the House, the sitting Speaker of the House, the presiding Speaker, while he's gone for 2 months of the session, or even if it's just 1 month of the session, while testimony is taken on whether or not he's a crook, then that tells me there are no honest people in the Alabama legislature. I don't know what it is they're getting out of it. They're getting something out of it that allows them
They're just
to do
scared.
it. I mean, it's.
I mean, I've heard rumblings that, like you said, some of the freshmen have joined forces with.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, there's a long time between now and next January. There may be some. They may see the light. They may look at different factors, and they may say, some of even his leadership may say, "Hey, you got to step down. This is killing the system, killing the process, and there's no way you can be the speaker and be on trial for 2 months." Because we all know. I mean, you can verify this as a lawyer. You've got to practice. You've got to. I mean, he's got to be an intense.
Oh, it's an 18 to 20 hour a day preparation.
Yeah,
right,
I
sure.
can't imagine, because again, there's about 7 different tracks that they've got to go down. I mean, this is a complicated story,
right?
And Mike and his team have got to tell it one way, and the other guy's got to tell it another way. I mean, it's not simple.
And for the record, for the 10th time for the viewers out there, in South Carolina, North Carolina, Indiana, and New York, when the speaker and a pro tem were indicted, they stepped aside for the betterment of the legislative body there and their Republican
And this
Party.
is Republicans and Democrats alike. People have done the honest thing, or either the party did the honest thing and said, "Time for you to go." We don't have that here, do we, Barron?
No, we don't. And this gets back to, I mean, they're going to unseal this motion that declares it unconstitutional.
Yeah.
And we don't have anybody there willing to step up and say, no, I voted for a constitutional bill.
Yep. Well, we're going to have to leave it right there. Claire did not get the last word. It was Barron this week.
That won't
You've
happen
been
again.
watching the voice of Alabama politics. You can catch news stories every day at alreporter.com. Like us on Facebook. See the show on YouTube. Or, of course, every Sunday on your stations throughout the state. Thank you for watching.
I didn't mean to take your last word.
I'm so happy.
But you didn't get egregious in.
I'm so happy you got to do it.
She didn't get egregious in either.
Well, I hadn't had a chance.
Say it real quick.
Egregious.
No, there'll be something next.